Hey, and welcome to my channel. Thanks so much for showing up today. This is kind of a tough topic, and you might be a little bit worried about what you're going to hear. So glad that you showed up, and I'm really eager to talk about this topic because a lot of people struggle with it. My name is Chrissy Hodges, and I am an advocate for OCD, in particular the community name Pure OCD, which is the name of my memoir. I do peer support all around the world, supporting people as they're working toward recovery. We are able to provide referrals anywhere in the world for therapists that can help. And I'm also the executive director of OCD Game Changers, where we do events everywhere to bring people together and create community. NoCD, NOCD, is an app. Inside the app, you can connect with other people that have OCD, and they have all kinds of things that help get you connected to the community, and they also do telehealth, ERP therapy. So go check them out at treatmyocd.com for more information. So today I want to talk about, again, this might feel like a scary topic because you're not sure what you're going to hear me say. Just know that I'm approaching this from the lived experience perspective. Things may or may not apply to you, and that's okay. So if you feel triggered by something because it maybe doesn't apply to you, so what does that mean about me? Just try to take what you can and leave the rest. This is just meant to help normalize when this happens. So I hear a lot and experienced this a lot, especially when I was dealing with sexual intrusive thoughts, and I was having physical symptoms, which we all know can manifest in feeling a heightened sense of arousal, or different parts of your body may feel different, and it's scary. And it feels confusing. If I don't want these thoughts and this isn't who I am, then why would my groin move? Or why would this feeling feel this way? Or why would I get butterflies? Things like that. And so feelings and the physical sensations that come along with intrusive thoughts really can drive home the fears that maybe this isn't OCD. I can handle the thoughts, but once my body is involved, it feels way too real. And it must have crossed over into not being OCD, and this is just some secret desire or some subconscious blah blah. You know how it is. So what do you do when you use? Okay, how do I say this? Well, first of all, what do you do when you use specific feelings in order to reassure yourself that the intrusive thoughts aren't real, or that you aren't going to act on them? Now, hang on here. Bear with me, because I know acting on them, that phrase in itself can send you into like a spiral. Okay. So remember, I have a video on my YouTube channel. Please go find it, where I'm talking about acting on thoughts is in the eye of the beholder. Okay. So, there's information out in the interwebs that says if you have OCD, you'll never act on a thought. Well, the moment that you tell someone you'll never act on a thought, you're going to start defining acting on. It's very different. Or you're going to look at compulsions as acting on, meaning checking, mentally reviewing, ruminating, or, maybe you're even like, oh my gosh, I'm going to, I have harm OCD, and I'm going to pick that knife up and walk toward my partner, and then you think, oh my God, I acted on it, I really wanted to murder him. But really what you were doing is a compulsion, right? You were doing the compulsion to see how you felt, to see if you could go through with it or how you felt or whatever, and it backfired on you. And that's why you don't do those things because they make you feel like shit. So there's that, and then there's also, and I wanted to bring this to your attention too, if you've done exposure response prevention, or if you're doing it now, or even in the past, if you mentally review your ERP, you might think, oh my God, my ERP was acting on the thoughts, right? Because you're having to recreate a trigger by exposing yourself to something and not doing the compulsions. Response prevention, preventing the response, preventing the compulsions, okay? So you might look at it and think, oh my gosh, if I have POCD, when I had to go to the playground and I had to sit there and I had to, count how many kids are there or whatever, that is acting on the thoughts because I allowed myself to be there, blah, 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 blah. Well, again, it's easy in hindsight, especially when you're mentally reviewing, to see these things and then redefine what acting on means. And then you get into the loop of, did I act on it? What does that mean about me? And let's go down the rabbit hole of people with OCD don't act on their thoughts. So again, this can all be super confusing when you're micromanaging your behaviors. Okay, what does that mean? Well, your hypervigilance, which is what most of us are with stuff, your hypervigilance is very compulsive, right? So I want to monitor everything. I need to know when this, and why did I do this, and why did my toe move, and why did my pinky move? What does that mean? So the hypervigilance is keeping you stuck in that cycle of as long as I can be completely aware of everything and every thought and every part of my body at any given time, I know I won't do anything wrong. Or I know I won't act on or do anything bad, because if I do, then I'm going to mentally review what that meant. Okay, so before I go into the next subject, let's review again the relationship between us and the amygdala, right? So the amygdala produces a non-threat, and you are doing compulsions to try to find a solution to a threat that does not exist. So compulsions are solution-oriented from a logical perspective that keeps going in the circle over and over and over, because you're trying to find a solution to a problem that doesn't exist. I know that probably feels like reassurance, and that's fine. But, your intrusive thoughts are a non-threat. All you people with real event, you're all like, but mine really is. I'm not laughing at you, but I know that's what you just thought. Because OCD is so predictable. Yours too is a non-threat, by the way. Even though you don't think so, and you just are like, Chrissy, you're wrong. So remembering that, okay, what I want you to say is, when you're hypervigilant, micromanaging all of that stuff, you're actually just trying to find a solution to a problem that does not exist. That is why you can't find the solution, okay? So that's why when we are doing exposure response prevention, the behavioral aspect of ERP is to recreate something to show your brain there's not a threat. You cannot tell it, you can show it. And then you can get caught in that loop of, why did I do that? What does that mean? So I don't have the solution to something that doesn't have the solution, but I do want to tell you that it's normal. It's not uncommon for people to get stuck in that, okay? It's not uncommon to get stuck in, did ERP mean I acted on things? Having these physical stuff, acting is in the eye of the beholder. Keep that in mind, because anything that you're engaging in the argument with is going to try to bring you back to the original argument. So the next thing, and I think that this is really important, is the next and last thing, and then I'll wrap up. What happens when you're using your feelings and you're using your responses to prove that the intrusive thoughts aren't real, or to prove that you won't turn into whatever you're afraid of, right? So POCD is the easiest one to use. So if the anxiety is there, I know that it's going to keep me from snapping and acting on it, right? Which, let's just be real here. The anxiety is not keeping you from it because it is not a threat, right? And I know that that's easier said than done because it feels like a threat and all this, but keeping with the theme of there is no problem, but doing the compulsions continues to perpetuate the cycle, there is no solution. So the anxiety is a false way of thinking that you're safe, right? Because you are safe. You're safe. They're just intrusive thoughts and they feel like shit, but that's what they are. I just want to keep driving that home to you because we forget when we get entrenched in the physical aspect of this. So what can happen is, or here's a good one, disgust. So I want to have disgust when I think about, doing something sexual to my dog, right? As long as I have this cringy moment, or as long as I can shake my head and shake the thoughts out, or feel a visceral nauseous reaction or something, man, that means it's not real. Well, what happens when I start relying on those feelings? Well, over the course of weeks, months, years, those feelings are going to subside. You're going to kind of desensitize to them or habituate to the feelings. And this is true in any aspect of OCD. When you want a certain feeling, it ain't happening. In fact, the reverse of that is ERP, right? When we do exposures and recreate a trigger and we want the anxiety, it does not show up, okay? So it's a controlled, you want to do it with a therapist, whatever. But so the flip side of that is, if we start to want and desire disgust, sadness, things like that, that makes us think, see, I don't want the thoughts, or I wouldn't act on the thoughts, boom, it's not going to be there. And then you're going to think, well, shit, now it's not there. So that must mean I'm starting to want it. My true self is coming out. I am accepting that this might be my reality and I've been in denial all this time. I mean, when really you just had this for so long, or you've had it to a point where you've become reliant on emotions. And when you do that, when you're trying to conjure up specific emotions to prove something, they're not always going to be available to you. But it can get really scary, and I want to validate that for you. That can get really scary when you think, I am wanting to feel awful about this thought and I can't. That must mean something. That takes you down a whole other avenue of maybe this is an OCD and maybe this really is. Maybe I'm the only one, all of that. And then also kind of right alongside this is the when you start to question whether or not you like the groinal or whether or not you like the thoughts. This is right around the same vein as what I was just talking about, okay? So if you have something for so long, like when I got therapy for OCD, I literally was like 24/7 groinal. Like it was almost painful. Like the groinal was painful to me. Even though and at times it would feel like arousal that was so strong that I was like, this has got to be real, because when I'm actually aroused, it does not feel like this. But then it would be like arousal to the point where I felt almost pain. I don't want to go into any more details, but y'all know what I mean. And everybody thinks their groinal is different, by the way. I did too. But anyway, so when I got to therapy, I just thought to myself, this is so strong that I am scared that I actually want it now. And I also would, because I had desensitized to a lot of the emotions around the sexual intrusive thoughts, then I was worried because I'm not having these thoughts, these feelings associated, I must want the thoughts. So then it turns over into this, oh no, like this, I can't control any of my reactions. And in fact, like, I don't even know anymore if I really enjoy the groin or not. This is so common. It's so common. And the thing is what we're doing is we're just, again, trying to micromanage our physical responses to find a solution. There's no solution. And that is the crux and frustrating thing about this whole illness, because it's so unfair. Like, there is no solution. We're used to coming up with solutions. This is how we operate in the everyday world, but the threat feels so real that there has to be a solution. So I'm going to give you an example of this, and then I'm going to close up. So this is how it makes sense to me, okay? So when I am under normal threat, okay, I just had an incident a few weeks ago where frontal lobe shut down, amygdala was up, right? Because it was a threat. It was an actual threat. I did not think. I did not have logic and be like, what should I do in this situation? My brain shut down and my body acted, right? I had to grab my dog. There was an incident, whatever. And once I was out of the threat, okay, and I was safe, then, the solution, I was able to find some sort of solution. Logical brain comes back, amygdala isn't in charge anymore. So I go up, calm down, very emotional, need to ground, all this shit. But then, the solution, then I can start thinking about things like, okay, well, next time I'll put this in place and oh my goodness, I'm, glad this happened. And this is how I need to take care of this, blah, blah. I'm finding solutions, right? To an actual threat that was there, checking in, see if I'm okay. Is the dog okay? We're all good. Threat's over. The solution is solved, right? We're good. So that is a real threat. And I was able to have closure on it. when I have an intrusive thought and and the amygdala is I'm doing a compulsion and I'm telling the amygdala that there's a threat, the amygdala is all of a sudden like, whoa, I got to keep you safe. Like, where's the threat? I got to do everything I can. I got to alarm your body. I got to alarm your mind, your emotions, everything, because you're in danger and you keep telling me, doing compulsions, you keep telling me you're in danger. So I'm going to make everything really heightened because I want to keep you safe. But here's the deal. Like, it doesn't happen like a real threat because there isn't a real threat, right? You following me? So because there's not a real threat, there is no solution. There isn't a way to come back down and have your frontal lobe take back over and be like, whew, glad we escaped that. Why? Because we can't escape a threat that doesn't exist. Then we're just swimming in the need for a solution, the need for closure. There is no solution. There is no closure. And that's what makes us nuts, right? If one more compulsion, one more Google search, I will find the answer, and you never find it. In fact, it digs you deeper, because the more you do that, the more you're directly communicating with the amygdala that there is a reason why we're in trouble. Okay, I hope that helped, but just want to close with this. This is a big thing for people, and it's something they don't want to tell anyone because they're scared if they say to their therapist, or they're scared if they say, I don't have feelings anymore, of anxiety. They're scared they're going to find out they don't have OCD. Or if they say something like, I'm worried that I'm enjoying the groinal, or if I like it, or I'm worried I like the thoughts, they're scared they're going to find out they don't have OCD. I'm sitting here telling you, I hear this all the time. You get to this spot sometimes where you're just not going to have the feelings. And the feelings you do have, you get in your head about whether you want them or not. And when it's paired with the groinal, that sometimes feels like physical proof that you want them. I'm here to tell you, you're not alone. This is completely something that a lot of people experience, including yours truly, right here. And it was very scary for me. Do not be afraid to open up to people, safe people who, people who understand OCD, or your OCD therapist. Do not be afraid to open up and talk to them about this. They're going to know what that means. They're going to know how to deal with it, and you're going to deal with it the same way that you would deal with any sort of OCD theme, okay? You're not the only one. You're not the freak out there. You're not the one person that has these symptoms, but you really do want it. You're not that, okay? There's your reassurance for the day. I hope this helps. This is an important topic, and you need to know that this can happen to you, and if it does, do not be alarmed. It is normal. I'll see you next time.